once in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm heading home from work on Friday night. That day, being in a dungeon, where I've had a notably fun session with a client. I'm kind of in the mood and have this yearning to continue excitement and satisfaction. But tell myself I should just get to bed because tomorrow I have 6 hours of physically demanding modeling work starting 9 a.m. And after that, a date with a woman I've promised playtime with. So I bike toward the nearest subway, saying, let it go. Bored and sit with my bike. Coming through the downtown Berkeley station, a lot of people come on, including someone with a bike who stands over by the door because now the car's full. He's fresh-faced, tall, stands quietly without slouching, wears a nice button down. He's also wearing, instead of a bike helmet, a European-style vintage military helmet. This hits my radar. I'm intrigued, but don't want to shout across the crowd, so decide I'll try talking to him when we all change trains in a few stops. I assume he's another student going out for the night in San Fran. Soon it's time to exit, but I realize he's not. I'm leaving thinking, oh, shit. And as I'm walking my bike out through the door, passing him, he says to me, nice handlebars, by the way. They are notably tall risers and get attention. I stand out on the platform, people rushing by, and think, I don't have to go home directly from my stop. I could bike there from anywhere. Fuck it. I get back on that train and sit down across from where he now has room to sit. I say, that train was too crowded. I wasn't really feeling it. And thanks, I have fun with these handlebars. He says, do you just sit up all tall and proper like Mary Poppins? And we're in a dynamic conversation. It's just zinging, total fun. Lake Merritt Station approaches, and I see he's exiting. I say, when was the last time you saw Mary Poppins? Shit is just coming out of my mouth. He says, I don't know. Would you like to see Mary Poppins? This is before streaming services, so I'm thinking, is there a video store nearby? Can I make this work? But it's too much to pull together. So instead I just say, would you like to get a drink? I barely drink. And I have never before proposed going to a bar, but it is the socially possible thing. I know a dive friends like is near, so we head to Baggies by the lake. We're there over 4 hours, continuing a lively conversation. I get a bit tipsy, because I barely drink, but don't go beyond that. I do offer to get him another, say, it's cool, I made some money today. He asks how, and I say, well, I'm part-time a professional dominatrix. And he says, I was going to ask if you wanted to make out, but now I'm a little intimidated. We continue talking, because we're both so intellectual. Finally, fairly sober, it's time to move on, and we head to his house nearby. As soon as we come in the house, he puts on an Edith Piaf record. I think that is some charming fruitiness. We drink water and talk more. Finally, I say, I'd like to give you a head rub. When he took off the helmet, his hair had this big poof, and I just want to run my fingers through it. He says, yes, but I would also like to kiss you. Both these things happen. It's pretty right on. Shortly, I'm sort of melting into the couch. We pause for a moment, and he says, this is delightful. I was thinking after work, I just really wanted to make out with someone tonight. Next, we're on the floor. At some point, I express concern that his housemates might come home. So he simply picks me up, throws me over his shoulder, and smoothly strides down the hallway to perfectly lay me down on his mattress. Martial arts, whoa. Turns out that helmet was en route to join his Aikido teacher and also someone who works as a welder, and they were going to build a suit of armor with it. Yes, this kind of DIY nerd, my person. So, it gets hot and heavy. I'm into it. But keep pants on because I feel I should get some sleep before having to go back to work in a few hours. We agree to continue for some more hotness later that weekend and end up having a few more dates and occasionally emailing. But that night, I bike home, delirious, with one sock. His couch has eaten the other sock. And the morning, the gay art teacher, who I've modeled for repeatedly, is gracious that I am covered with hickeys. And, and just says, you look like you're doing well. And I think, yeah, I've spontaneously whisked off with a 22-year-old brainiac stud when I'm a 33-year-old transgender disabled warrior. I am doing pretty well. The moral is, consider being bold. Especially on the metro. You never know what could happen. Our couple dates do end up good in terms of sexy times, but also our personalities have a lot of compatibility. We've continued enjoying conversation since the very first meeting. Still, he gets preoccupied and drops off from responding when I message, which feels bad. So I give up. Except, within a few months of meeting, I'm almost killed in a car accident. When I recover enough to be discharged from the hospital, I have time to end up contacting a lot of people from home, including him. I write that I am lucky to be alive, and I would welcome any support. A few months pass with no word. And when I'm able to dress myself and get out on crutches a bit more, he replies and apologizes. He offers to take me out for a nice lunch and pick me up with a car. We dress up for the spirit of this quirky vintage supper club. He proposes, and we are wearing vests and jackets. He waits, opens doors for me as I slowly crutch out of the car and into the restaurant. He says he's sorry for ghosting. He's offered this some care, a frivolous rendezvous to cheer me up. Our last date, a good one. Thanks.